I love to play in the Dark Zone solo. I have been doing this for years, way back in Division 1 days, and I have brought that spirit into the Division 2. For the first year or two, I was doing solo Dark Zone videos featuring the Thieves' Den, but then they removed that out of the game. So then I didn't really feel too much, want or need to go into the Dark Zone as a solo player because there was nothing really advertising me to do so. The PvP exclusive items you can get out of named item caches or conflict, and there was no real reason to go in there because there's always groups of agents, waiting to prey or, attack on the solo players. So I typically do all my PvP in conflict. However, back in year 4, they introduced exotic components into the game, not only as something that can drop for you, but it is specific to the Dark Zone. So instead of getting exotics and dismantling them or deconstructing them into exotic components, you could just get the exotic components themselves straight from the Dark Zone. It goes straight into your inventory. There's no need to extract or lose them or do anything with exotics. It's pretty seamless. Now, at the same time they did this, they also introduced the expertise part of the game. Now, the expertise upgrading is one of the most expensive things to do in this game for materials. And as you are getting higher and higher up the expertise levels, you have to spend more and more exotics. So, the number one way of getting exotic components to do these expertise upgrades is the Dark Zone. So, what I do and what I have mastered over the years is a solo guide that I have been using for years now. It has not failed. I get my own lobby, or I start my own lobby, and I'm able to farm for my exotics and everything, extract, and then move on to the next Dark Zone seamlessly. And they are empty Dark Zones. I do this on all platforms because it's the easiest way of getting exotic components without getting, jumped by other agents or having to fight your way to extract an exotic or what have you. So, what I have done is I have come up with a beginner solo Dark Zone build and a advanced solo Dark Zone build. That way, if you are just now jumping into the game, you can put that build together, or if you have been around the game long enough and you have these items, you can put my other build together. But both of these builds are being featured in today's video. I will have solo Dark Zone gameplay featuring both. And yes, they are going to be empty Dark Zones because I'm going to show you how to get your own empty lobby. This works on all platforms. What it is you are tricking the system thinking that you are on a different character, and then you go back to your main character, and then you have your own lobby for a good chunk of time. I mean, at least 30 minutes. I don't see any players. I mean, by the time I get bored in the Dark Zone is usually when other players, start to show up. Because remember, you can't just have a private lobby, but you can open up your own lobby and, start it off from scratch. And then as people go and they start to, either matchmake into Dark Zones or go into different Dark Zone lobbies and change instances, eventually people will join your Dark Zone lobbies. But I'll show you how to get your own empty. That way you can farm it, get out of there before anyone else shows up. So I hope you enjoy. And, well, here is your solo in the Dark Zone beginner's guide for the Division 2 in 2025. Here we go. What's going on, YouTube? Kamikazevondoom here with another Division 2 video, so sit back, relax, grab that popcorn, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what you think in the comment section below. But here is your solo Dark Zone guide. Now, first up, we will do the builds, and then we will jump into the gameplay. Before I do all of the gameplay, I will show you how to get your own empty lobby and start your own lobby. That way you can get your exotics, extract, and get out of there before anyone else shows up. But first, let's get into the two builds, okay? So going down here at the bottom, I have two builds set up for you. So I have a beginner's Dark Zone build, and then I have a more advanced Dark Zone build. Two of them, they are very, very similar, but they do act in different ways. So I'll show you. They have different advantages. So the first one is your cookie cutter solo Dark Zone build. I have used this build for years. And the reason for it is armor regeneration. I love armor regeneration, and in the Dark Zone, survivability is key. That's the whole thing, is survivability, because the difference between you and your enemy could be one bullet. So as long as you have the survivability advantage, you're good to go. So what I did here is I put together one of my old regen god builds, okay? This is all purely armor regeneration in every part of it, mixed with crit. So we're getting survivability with a little bit of crit. It's really not much because it is a survivability build. Now with that being said, let's just try to go through it as fast as possible. So I'm using the technician for the +1 skill tier. The reason for that is I wanted a better decoy. Even though the decoy is at expertise 22, I did want that +1 tier to get the extra duration, health, and threat. The other thing is the EMP sticky at a tier 1 gives me even more of a blast radius and duration. So I wanted that as well. Now remember, in the Dark Zone, your expertise levels do matter. They do. They are only removed for conflict PvP, and that's why I like conflict PvP, because all of my builds and everything get normalized. And then that way, when you see the PvP content, you know that you can do the exact same thing, because once you go into conflict, it removes all the expertise and watch levels. However, in the Dark Zone, it all matters. So for this, I do have maxed out weapons at expertise 27, and I do have some expertise in my items and skills. They are not maxed out because remember, we are going for exotic components in the Dark Zone because that is the #1 way of getting those exotic components and expertise upgrading your items. Now, just for an example, just to see, what I'm talking about here, my EMP sticky is only at expertise 21, okay? So just for example, expertise, let's go to that sticky bomb EMP right there. It would cost me 5 exotics. So 5 exotic components to do 1 upgrade. And that's only to 22. You can see that they all go to 27. So you're talking about tens, dozens, even hundreds of exotic components that you need to fully max out your entire build. And that's why for all of my build videos, none of them are ever fully maxed out. I do not have not one fully maxed out build, and it's because of these exotic components. So, going back to the build. The weapons are maxed out, but there is a method to this madness, okay? So the technician gives you that +1 skill tier, but it also gives you that linked laser pointer. So I'm using the linked laser pointer for my Lexington. Now what that does is it pulses the enemy and it procs flatline. That will amplify my weapon damage by 15% to all pulsed enemies. Now, the reason why I am running 2 assault rifles, it's dirty, but it's the Dark Zone, okay? So what I do is I have my shock ammo from my St. Elmo's. Now, the St. Elmo's engine, once you get the 100 stacks and reload, you get shock ammo. But in the Dark Zone, it's not 100%. So right here, you can see in the PvP stats, it's only 50% of your magazine for the Dark Zone. So the easy, little trick in the book here is around like 20, 25 minutes or so in your empty Dark Zone lobby, players will start to funnel in because the Division 2 has this like system in place where it likes to populate their lobbies. That way you are always in a bumping Dark Zone, right? So what happens is I can show you how to start your own lobby, but eventually other players will start to pop in. So, what I do, my philosophy behind this, my mindset, my method to the madness, is about 20, 25 minutes or so into my session, I will get shock ammo and then I'm just going to holster this weapon. I'm just going to put it on my back and just run around. And then that way I use my Lexington. And then I'm using my Lexington for everything. I'm killing the NPCs, I'm doing everything, doesn't matter. And that way, just if, a player were to run up on me and just pop rogue at my back, I'll switch to my other weapon and give them a little shock or two. You see what I'm saying? Give them a little 1-2, little shocker-rooney, little hey surprise shock, and then they'll stop messing with you because you'll either take them out right then and there, or they're gonna run away and try to go heal up. And then at that point, you can either choose to fight them or you can drop your decoy and go on with your business. But that's the method to the madness. So you get your shock ammo, you holster it, use your other weapon, and then whenever someone wants to try to surprise, you shock them. You know, the old taser. Bzzz, you know what I'm saying? From what was that? Like old '80s movies, like Terminator, where Sarah Connor has the taser, or like what was it? Michelle Pfeiffer in Batman Returns, and then she has the taser. I'm loving it. Anyways, that's the method to the madness there, because it is the Dark Zone and teams will try to take your stuff. They will try to shoot you in the back. So as a safety precaution, as a contingency plan, you have that shock in your back pocket. Now, as far as the sidearm, you can use whatever you want. I mean, you could switch to the TDI card custom and then drop your decoy. That way you could have a better decoy, but I'm too lazy to do that, so I just have the backup boomstick. But you could, I mean, technically, whenever you have that pistol out in your hands, you do get that +1 skill tier. But again, you have to have it in your hands whenever you deploy those skills. And sometimes I do not have time to switch over to that sidearm, so I'm just using the backup boomstick with preservation. That way, if I need any sort of like armor or anything, I can just switch to this, boom, boom, get that kill, get that extra armor, good to go. All right. Now, this is a beginner's solo Dark Zone build. And right after this, I'll show you the advanced. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is a beginner's is that you can craft 90% of this build. You can craft the Heligard pieces, you can craft the Golem Gear pieces, and if you have the blueprint, you can craft the Everyday Carrier. Now, if not, the Everyday Carrier will be the hardest one to get. You either have to get it from named item caches or really just pray to the RNG gods that you get one to drop. But everything else you can pretty much just craft, or maybe 1 or 2 countdown matches, and you could get all of this. It's fairly simple because all of these items come with blue core attributes anyways. So it's fairly easy to just get armor regeneration and then some form of crit. Now, you don't have to have all crit chance, all crit damage. You're not going for that right here because the St. Elmo's engine already has pretty high crit. So I'm sitting at 55 crit chance and 108 crit damage for my St. Elmo's engine. Now, going back to the build, though, the 3 pieces of Heligard, the reason why you're doing that is the brand set bonus. So the 3-piece gives you armor regeneration of 2%. Now, you also get total armor and health. That is cool, but you're going for that armor regeneration. Remember, in the Dark Zone, survivability is key. That is what is going to be the difference. You know, if you have, say, 120 something armor regeneration per second and someone else has 100, then maybe your last bullet takes them out and you just so happen to survive that. I mean, with this setup, we're sitting at just under 122,000 armor regeneration per second. This is a ridiculously strong build with high survivability. Now, on top of just the armor regeneration, we do have the Adrenaline Rush backpack talent. And in the Dark Zone, it drops down to 10% bonus armor per enemy, stacking up to 3 times. So in the Dark Zone, you can get up to 30% bonus armor with this setup. Now, the 30%, that's of your 2.1 million armor. So, yeah, you're going to get super tanky super quick. Now, on top of the bonus armor, you are also running perfectly efficient. Now, yes, this is the hardest gear item to get for this build because it is a named item, but it is worth it. The perfectly efficient using a armor kit has a 75% chance of it not consuming, and it increases your specialization armor kit bonuses. Now, it does have a 10-second arm time, so that's technically a cooldown period, but it is truly amazing. 75% chance. Now, I have shown in other videos before that you typically get 4 armor kits total. Using this chest piece talent, you could have those 4 armor kits act like 12 or 14 armor kits. And in a video I did just a couple weeks ago, I was able to get 28 armor kits out of 4. It's ridiculous. It was just never ending, never ending. Now that counts for the instant armor kits and that counts for the full armor kits. So you could just toggle to do the instant heal and it would have a chance of it not consuming, or you could hold it down, use a full armor kit, and it could have a chance of it not consuming. That 75% chance is ridiculous. Truly, it is. Now, as far as the chest piece, the reason why we are choosing the everyday carrier, not only because of the perfectly efficient talent, but because of the brand set bonus. So the brand set bonus also gives us armor regeneration. Like I keep saying, survivability is key in the Dark Zone, especially if you're solo. Now, going to the Golem gear, we do have 2 pieces of Golem gear, the mask and the holster. Reason being is 2 pieces of Golem gear give us armor regeneration. Now, this one is only 1.5, so you get 1.5% from the Golem, you get 2% from the Heligard, and you get 1% from the Bellstone. So what is that? We're at 4.5% armor regeneration all the time. Now, not only that, but everything is rolled crit or armor regeneration. Super easy to do, like I said, because the core attribute for all of these are going to be a blue, and they all come with a blue, so all you have to do is find it with armor regeneration, and you can roll crit. Whether it be crit chance or crit damage, it doesn't matter. Just try to get as high or as close to max crit chance as you can, and then put everything else into crit hit damage. Pretty simple. Now, as far as the skills, I'm using a decoy and an EMP sticky bomb. I was about to say explosive. It's not. It's electronic. Now, the EMP sticky bomb, what this does is it staggers your enemy and disorients them. So you get both. Now, the staggering part is really good for PvP because when someone is trying to aim down their weapon and just take you down, there's nothing worse than just being disoriented and staggered at the same time because it's like, oh, I got him, I got him. Oh, no, you don't. You never had me. You never had Jaka. And it's due to the EMP sticky. Now, in place of that, you could use the Riot Foam. I know a lot of people love the Riot Foam. You could use a shield. I know a lot of people like to use the shield. But for me personally, I like taking out their skills and making them stagger, and the EMP sticky bomb does both. Now, the other one is the decoy. The decoy is super helpful. This gets you out of situations with players. This gets you out of situations with NPCs. This helps you get the DZ boxes, and this helps you get the supply drops. Because what you can do is you can throw the decoy away from you. Remember, you're throwing the decoy away from you. Don't drop the decoy at your feet because the NPCs will still see you. But if you throw the decoy away from you, it works perfectly. You can get the drops, you can get the chests, all of that with ease. And then you can focus on the NPCs. Super simple. And like I said, there's a method to the madness, I promise you. Now, this build is super easy to put together. You can either craft them or go to countdown, and then you're good to go. The hardest one will be the chest piece, but if you cannot get the chest piece, you could go with like a Heligard or Golem gear chest with normal efficient, but it's not the same. I'm telling you. I would really just wait until you get the everyday carrier and then put this build together. It's super useful. Survivability is key. Now, yes, you could use Unbreakable, but I am not a fan of Unbreakable. It has a 1 minute cooldown, and in PvP or in the Dark Zone, 1 minute is forever. You will die within that 1 minute unless you go and seek shelter. Anyways, going to the stats, I mean, I really don't want to harp on anything crazy here. Just go as high to crit chance as possible, and then go to your crit hit damage after. For the defensive tab, we are rounded up to 2.1 million armor because of the expertise, so you can actually get this upwards of 2.2 million armor if you nasty. We are just under 122k armor regeneration with this one, and it's not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Now, that was the beginner build, okay? Now, the advanced build. Here we go. So, the advanced build is similar in some aspects. Now, what I'm doing is I'm conserving my AR ammo and I'm going with an SMG for my secondary. So I am still getting kills with the St. Elmos, and within, 20, 25 minutes of my session, I'll keep the shock ammo in my back pocket, and then I'll just run and gun with the Vector. Now I replaced the Lexington here with the Vector 45 ACP. Same thing though, flatline, and same thing, linked laser pointer. You want that amplified damage, and this thing gives it to you. It's a very good weapon, highly recommend. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is the advanced Dark Zone build, because this one's a little bit harder to put together. Now, you have to get the Catharsis, the Everyday Carrier, 3 pieces of Y'all gear, and you have to get a Pulse Resistance mod. So this build is a little bit harder to put together. Not only that, but I am using the Emperor's Guard knee pads with double regen. These things are amazing. So this is why it is the advanced solo Dark Zone build, because this one is a lot harder to put together. Now, what is the reasoning behind this setup opposed to the other setup? So the other setup is a full-on armor regeneration crit build. It does have perfectly efficient and adrenaline rush. It is good, super easy to use. However, you get pulsed. You get pulsed a lot, especially by other players. Actually, exclusively by other players. The other players will pulse you to see exactly where you are, and they'll either wait to jump you or they'll shoot you in the back. That's how the Dark Zone is. So the philosophy behind this, the whole method to the madness, the whole reasoning, is that I wanted to go with pulse resistance. So what you do is you sacrifice the 3-piece Heligard for 3-piece Y'all. Now the reason for that is that the 3-piece Y'all gives us hazard, which is good for the Dark Zone, weapon damage, which is good for the Dark Zone, and pulse resistance, which is good for the Dark Zone. So all of your characters, no matter what, your specialization gives you 50% pulse resistance. Now with the Y'all gear, you get another 40%, putting you to 90, and then that's why I told you you need a pulse resistance mod maxed out. That way you can get your 100% pulse resistance. Now hitting max pulse resistance keeps you under the radar. They can't pulse you, they can't find you. Not only that, but when they're trying to use spotter, that won't work against you. If they're trying to use flatline or perfect flatline, that won't work against you because they can't pulse you. And this is a big player in the Dark Zone right now, because that will not only keep you in shadows and cover incognito, that way they can't find you, but it also messes with their overall damage. Because a lot of people, if they're pulsing you, more than likely they're using spotter flatline, some sort of combination with that, so that they can get that extra damage. Now the other thing is the Catharsis and the Emperor's Guard. So in place of the Heligard, I went with Y'all Gear for the pulse resistance, extra damage, extra hazard. It's nice. And then in place of the Golan Gear, I went with Emperor's Guard and Catharsis. So the Emperor's Guard, what that does is it gives us 1% armor regeneration with an armor regeneration roll. So that's good. We also get skill duration, which actually helps out the build. It helps you out for your decoy and it helps you out for your EMP sticky. Not only that, but then we have the Catharsis. This bad Mamma Jamma is one of the best exotics in the game, especially for PvP. Now, this got a buff. Yeah, I said it. A buff during the Project Resolve rebalancing. It went from 1% weapon damage per stack to 1.5% weapon damage per stack. So we went from 30% weapon damage max to 45. Like, come on. This thing is a brutal killer. So not only does it give you that extra weapon damage, but it heals you. So this helps you with your survivability and it takes away status effects. So where the other beginner's build is, right? So the beginner's build was only armor regeneration with crit. So you're not getting any extra weapon damage, you're not getting any extra healing, you're not getting any sort of hazard, nothing, right? Now with the advanced build, what I'm doing here is I'm keeping you under the radar with the pulse resistance. I'm healing you with the catharsis. At the same time, you're getting the status effects taken away from with the catharsis, and we get an increase in hazard due to the Y'all Gear. But wait, there's more, because the Y'all Gear gives you more weapon damage, because the Y'all Gear was also buffed during this whole rebalancing. The Y'all Gear 2-piece bonus went from 5% weapon damage to 10% weapon damage. So now, in my advanced solo Dark Zone build, you get more weapon damage from the Catharsis and more weapon damage from the Y'all. So this build got even stronger without even touching it. Pretty cool, right? Now, the only downside here, is the armor regeneration overall, okay? Because we went from 4.5% armor regeneration total on the other build to now we're only at 2%. So we're less than half of what we were over there. Now, the difference of that is we went from 100, just under 122K per second, down to 65. Yeesh, right? Pretty brutal. Now, hear me out though. Because we dropped that armor regeneration so down, so far low, we are sitting at the same crit chance, but almost half of the crit hit damage from the other build. So the other build actually has more survivability and more damage on paper. But the base damage over here is at 90K. All right. And we're at 1.8 million armor instead of the 2.1 million armor. So let me just point these things out to you here. The damage is way higher with this build. Even though the survivability and all of that looks really nice on the other build, this build hits a hell of a lot harder. So let me show you that, and then we'll actually get into the Dark Zone gameplay. Because I wanted to break down these two builds. That way you can put either the beginner style together, or you could put the more advanced style together. But the Catharsis pulse resistance build that I'm using, I stay under the radar and I never have issues. Now, as far as the damage numbers, right? So let's go ahead and just bury the hatchet on that. And then we'll jump into the gameplay. All right. So this is with the pulse resistance build, right? With the catharsis. So first and foremost, let's get the catharsis up. So we'll go ahead and get the catharsis up. We'll try to get it as close to max as possible, right? So we're pretty close, right? And then you can see The armor regeneration coming up. There we go. And look at that. It did not consume because of my perfectly efficient. Pretty cool. All right, so this is with Catharsis buffs. All right. So 5 meters, invulnerable elite, Catharsis buffs. 194, 285. Okay, so 285. Right? Now, with the beginners, the just straight up crit and armor regeneration, right? So we went from 1.8 million armor to 2.1 million. So the survivability here is stupid high. But check this out. So we went from 285 to 243. Now that 243 is all the time. There is no catharsis needed. However, just remember that you will not have hazard. You will not have any sort of healing. So what you see is what you get. Now, to me personally, I really enjoy this build. This build is really, really fun for PvP. It's ridiculously fun in a group. It's stupid because they can't kill you, and then your teammates have ample opportunity of taking out the enemy. Because this thing, you could live forever, truly. And then if you have shock bullets on top of that, forget about it, kid. And if you ran, like, say, an EMP and a riot foam, dude, ridiculous. All right. Now, just to show you these numbers one last time, so it's 243. Oh, come on. There we go. So 243. Now let me show you what the other one is without the buff, because it's actually pretty damn close. But I do enjoy the pulse resistance and the healing from the catharsis. But just to show you, 243, here's without the catharsis buff. 232. So this one actually hits lower, right? So I have more weapon damage, more red core attributes, and I'm hitting lower with this build before the catharsis. Little fruit for thought there. You got to take it in some areas and lose it in other areas. It's a balancing game in the Division 2. It's always been a balancing game. It's all about math, and it's all about how you want to distribute that math, whether you want it on the front end or you want it on the back end. See what I'm saying? But that is it for the whole build breakdowns and everything. Let's go ahead and show you how to get an empty lobby. All right? Or how to start your own lobby is more like it. Because you're not getting like your own empty dark zone to yourself like a private lobby. You're making your own lobby, essentially. All right, here we go. So here we go. Empty dark zone or fresh dark zone, whatever you want to call it. Okay, pretty simple. Now, first step is you want to pick whatever dark zone you like to farm. For me, I like to farm DZ West and DZ South. I don't know why, but those are just my easiest ones. They're really quick, and I get a lot of exotics from them. But for today's video, let's do DZ South. I love to start at the Echo checkpoint for DZ South and then just work my way all the way around back to Echo. Now, you see this loading screen right here. This is what's putting me into a populated lobby, okay? So that just put me in a populated lobby. Now, what you want to do is you want to go in here and you want to get close enough to the safe house, but not too close to the safe house. And you can see there's someone over there at that landmark. That landmark's red. Run over here. And then you're just going to log out when you're close to the safe house. That way, when you log back in, you'll appear in the safe house and not the checkpoint. What I typically like to do is run over here, and then I'll hit log out. So here we go. Because I know I'm right next to the safe house. Now, the reason for this is you don't want to spawn into a checkpoint as soon as you log in, because then that has a chance of changing your instance immediately. Where if you're in the safe house, it has more of a chance of you staying in that instance and then you having fun, for a while. So here we go. We're logging out. And because I logged out close to the safe house, it's going to spawn me into the safe house. Okay? So I log back in, and I'll show you. We can confirm we are in the safe house. Okay, logging in. Booyah.
Transmissions jammed.
Now you see where it says rebooting and then restored. Look at that.
Access granted.
And now we are back into the dark zone. Now what I do is then I log out and I switch characters. It doesn't matter what level that character is, just as long as you can go to the dark zone. For this one, let's use my third character. And then what you would do is go to a different dark zone and you would change that instance. So for this one, let's see. Hopefully I'm not, I'm already in a dark zone. Crap. Oh, but that actually worked. So look, that just put me into a brand new fresh lobby with supply drops.
Incoming cargo plane with dark zone drop.
And there is nothing else going on in this landmark. Perfect. Okay? So luckily I was already in the dark zone over here, and it shows me into a fresh lobby. Now the fresh lobby should start with supply drops, but if not, it's okay. Don't freak out. So what you're going to do then is you're going to go back to your main character. So my third character is now in DZ West, and now this character will be in DZ South. And what that does is it then puts me in that lobby, but now I'm over here in DZ South.
Access granted.
And then I can just fast travel down here, and I have my own fresh lobby. It's truly that simple. It really is. So go to your main character, switch back, and now you're in your own lobby. Enjoy the gameplay. All right. Empty DZ South.
Entering safe area.
Let's go ahead and let's farm.
Reception limited.
Now remember, the trick was very easy. All you do is you go up to your safe house. You can either log out next to the safe house or go into the safe house. And then once you log back in, either to a different character to change the instance, what have you, go back to your main account, and here we are. What I did is I went from the safe house, and then I just fast traveled to the echo checkpoint. That's what I typically do. And then I have my own lobby. Now I just hit that chest before resetting, so there is a timer on there. But I don't think I hit the DZ resources. There we go. And then by the time I come back around, that chest should be ready to go. And then we can easily just extract. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my entire route.
Gear detected.
And then we'll extract and go over to DZ West, I guess. Or I can just show you this again in a different instance. But you can easily just do this. It's a trick for solo players, because I know a lot of people like to play solo, and so do I. So what you do is you can get all your DZ resources. You can see I'm hitting all of them. Another trick in getting your DZ resources is going rogue. Now, because you are in your own lobby, you can easily just go rogue. And then what I do is I hit these little terminals, these shade network terminals, and they show you where all the DZ resources are. So now I'll be able to see where all the boxes and where all the DZ resources are. And you can see right there. Now that chest was not open, but by the time I come back around doing my loop, you'll see that it should, time out, and then I should be able to hit that again. Now I don't know the exact timer cooldown on these boxes, but I do know that typically if you just run around the map and come back, it'll be back and ready for you. And that's all I do, actually. Oh, there's another DZ resource over here. And then what you can do is just keep hitting these terminals. And then that way you can keep seeing where all of the boxes are without ever having to do anything. Just don't go towards any checkpoints while rogue, because those, checkpoint turrets will take you out. But now I'm just running around the map. I can see where all the boxes are located, right? And then I'm able to not only pick up the DZ resources, but I'm also able to deconstruct all the gear that I pick up and turn those into DZ resources. And now I can pick all of these boxes and never have to worry about anything. And it's truly that simple. Look, boom, there's an exotic component right there. I dig it. Now, if you think this is just a fluke, don't worry. I'll show you more gameplay of me in another lobby doing the exact same thing again. And these are empty lobbies. What it does is it tricks the game and it makes your own DZ lobby, where typically the game wants to populate you into a bump and lobby. That way you can PvP and all of that more. This starts your own lobby. So it's not like a private server, but you do get your own lobby here for a while. I mean, I typically see other people start to, join this lobby about 20 to 30 minutes into the session. And that is plenty of time for me to run around the entire Dark Zone, hit all of the boxes, and extract before I have to start, either PvPing or going over to the next server. But you can do this over and over and over again, and it doesn't matter. Oop, there's another exotic component right there. Look at that. And this is the #1 way of getting exotic components, and that's why I do this, because I want to max out all my gear, or at least my weapons, skills, and exotics. I at least want to max out those because those do help you out and your builds significantly. But this is it. I mean, we're in our own private server. And if you follow this exact route, I'm hitting everything you need to hit in the exact order you need to hit them in DZ South. So you can easily do this and then go on to the next one. Or you can log out, switch characters, and do it all over again. Pretty cool. Now, once your timer's getting low, I just simply hit another network, and it refreshes everything. And I can still see all of those boxes and all of the locations through the walls. It makes it super easy to sit here and grind through the Dark Zone. Now, if you have any questions or anything like that, just let me know in the comments. Make sure you shout out where you're from. It's cool to see where everyone's from. But this is just me in an empty Dark Zone. I'm just chilling. Trying to get as many exotics. Oh, man, another exotic component. Yo, I'm getting so many exotics doing this. I'm loving it. I truly love it. And that's why my provocateur is already maxed out. A lot of people were giving me some crap because I already have a maxed expertise provocateur. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. And, uh-oh, my timer's getting low. I need to run to the next one real quick. Ooh, piece of candy. But all this does is it keeps your rogue timer going. That way you don't have to worry about it going rogue, not going rogue, what have you with that crap. And then this, it just keeps it going. You can see where all the boxes are. Never have to worry about anything. And then you just run over here, pick it, you're good to go.
Now detecting contaminated gear.
Oh, no exotic that time. Aw, that sucks. But I've already gotten, what, like 3 or 4 exotics doing this? I mean, we've only been doing this for like 5 minutes. It's crazy. Oop, and then you hit your Shade Network terminals, reset your timer, and it resets your detection. That way you can see all of these items.
Contaminated gear.
And then what I do is I pick up all of these items, and I deconstruct them into DZ resources. That way I'm not only getting my exotic components, but I'm also getting DZ resources. And you have a chance of getting PvP exclusive items because you are in the Dark Zone. So some of these boxes will have a chance of dropping you PvP exclusive items. It is pretty cool. Now, it doesn't matter that I'm getting purple gear or yellow gear. It really doesn't matter because all I'm going to do is deconstruct it anyways. and they all deconstruct into DZ resources. So it doesn't matter what type of item it is. It could even be an exotic. It will still just give you the one DZ resource. So here's the trick. Hit the box while at a landmark. You throw your decoy away from you.
Let's do this.
Oh, there was an enemy up here. Uh-oh. And then that way you hit it like this. Ooh, yeah. Oh, there's another exotic. Holy moly. I've gotten like 4. That has to be at least 4 exotics now. And then I like to run down here, hit this DZ resource, and then double back. But you can see we've hit almost all of the chests so far. There's no one here. Nothing's going on. No landmarks are popping except for the ones I'm popping. I mean, you're in your own fresh lobby. It's pretty nice. Pretty nice indeed. Is that a DZ resource over there? I don't think I can hit it. Sometimes you can hit those through the walls. And then we'll run across the street over here. And then we can run back to that first box. And then we've done the entire loop. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. Alright, let me restart my timer there. Now, some of these landmarks will already be red as you run up to them because you're rogue the entire time. So it kind of like pre-warns the enemies, even though you can see there's no one here. It's just because I'm rogue. Oh, that's the boss. Hold on, I want to get that boss killed real quick.
Now detecting contaminated gear.
Where's that boss?
Gear. Engaging landmark. Hostile defender drone. Detected.
There we go. Oh, come on. I jammed you, and the defender drone's way back there, bro. Yeah, that defender drone's OP. I want a defender drone like that, dude. And then what this does, not only do I get the boss kill, but then what I can now do is now I have my shock ammo. Now I use my vector. Look at that. Pretty simple. And because that was the boss right there, this will be the end of the landmark. Yep, there we go.
Now detecting contaminated gear.
Boom.
Rogue protocol deactivated.
And now we're going to move on to the next.
Landmark cleared.
And then what I do is I'll hit some DZ resources. And then I'm making my way back to that initial chest. Remember that I hit that chest and that it was empty, right? So by the time I get back to it, I should be able to hit it. And then you can see all of these get turned into DZ resources. Ooh, yeah. Pretty cool, right? And this is how you farm your own empty lobby. I mean, you're starting your own lobby, so people will eventually show up. But for a good while, you're just chilling. I mean, I just did the entire loop. I'm running all the way back to where I was at that alpha checkpoint. I'll even extract. But by the time I extract and I'm done, that's when you would start to typically see people funnel in after a while. And there you go. Now, this is not going to work with other people, because with other people, you would then be jumping into their instances. And when other people join on you, it might try to put you into a more bumping lobby. There's too many other variables at play there.
Detected.
But this definitely works solo. And this is how, like, my buddy Sergeant Graybeard at the Gaming Brigade, he's able to do the same thing. And he's made videos showing people how to do this as well. Because you can just get your own empty lobby, farm, get out of here, bada bing, bada boom.
Now detecting
And then, you know, you can
gear.
come back later and do it again later. Really doesn't matter. But all right, so we did our entire circuit. So let me pop the extraction, and I'll hit that box and come back. Now there's another DZ resource over here.
We're inbound.
Booyah.
Extraction called.
And now we're good. So I have... let me go back to that other chest. Because remember, the chests are all timed. So if it's up or whatever, once you hit it, it's on a timer, and then it'll come back up later. Let's see if I can hit it. It's been a while. What? It's been about 10 minutes or so. Nope, I still can't hit it. Okay, that's weird. What ibs? Might be because I hit it right before I switched lobbies, so maybe it was on a fresh timer. Because I hit that one on the way to the safe house. But you can keep doing this over and over. I'll show you another session of me doing this. They're pretty quick sessions because you get your empty lobby, you do whatever you want, and then you can get out. So it's pretty sick. But we can go over to DZ West and do the same thing.
Helo almost at extraction zone.
And then maybe I'll show you another DZ South run on top of that using my other build.
High threat enemy patrol detected.
There you go. Pretty sick. Now hit the like and subscribe. You know the whole YouTube spiel. It really does help me out. I really do appreciate the support. So make sure to please hit the like and subscribe. Also, leaving comments does help out. But make sure you stay within the YouTube guidelines. They do like to flag people's comments. So watch your language. There we go. Don't forget to shout out where you're from. It's cool to see where everyone's from. But that's it. Look at that. We just extracted all of those DZ resources. Pretty easy. And what I do then is I just go right back to the echo checkpoint that I started at, right? So you go to the safe house, you log out, you switch characters, you change instances, you come back to the safe house, you fast travel to the echo checkpoint, and then you do that entire loop that I just showed you. Because not only did I just get exotic components, but I also got DZ resources. The components, I was able to get 4 exotic components doing that just now. It's very lucrative. It really helps you out. And with that extraction, let's see. Come on. There we go. Now I have DZ resources. Let's go.
Exiting dog zone.
And with those DZ resources, you can then go buy more exotics. So let's see. I am currently at, for the DZ resources, I'm at 197. So now I can buy another exotic. And remember, that was my own empty dark zone. No other landmarks were being hit. No people were popping rogue. Nothing. That was my own dark zone. And now here, if you go down to the vendor, exotic, boom, good to go.
Thanks for the business.
And now I have 5 exotics. St. Elmo's engine, nice. Pretty sick. And then get rid of that one. And now I have enough to maybe make my EMP sticky even better. I do. Look at that. I said it took 5. Oh, now it's going to take 6 exotics to upgrade it again. Yeesh. But all right, everyone. That's how you get your own empty lobby. I just showed you start to finish, okay? And I'll show you some more gameplay. Because if you think that's a fluke, well, watch this. Bah! Oh, yeah. And hit the like. What are you waiting on? All right, roll that footage.
Cleared. Hostile patrol detected.
Got you now. Hostile engaged.
DZ drop incoming. Detected. Location guarded by heavily armed hostiles. Now detecting contaminated gear.
I see him coming. I'll set up the group.
Hostile hive detected.
Affirmative.
Contaminated gear detected. Dark drop available. Rogue status removed. Heavily armed hostiles guarding location nearby. Now detecting contaminated gear. Detected. Location guarded by heavily armed hostiles. Initiating rogue protocol. Stealing dark zone drop. Hostile hive detected.
Keep an eye on our flank. You had enough.
Asshole! We're gonna
Rogue status removed.
Let's make it personal.
Engaged. Initiating rogue protocol. Contaminated gear detected. Now detecting contaminated gear. Rogue protocol deactivated. Engaging landmark. Detonated gear detected. Incoming hostiles detected. Rogue protocol initiated. Now detecting contaminated gear.
Here comes a grenade! Here's just another. You think that
RC car out.
for you.
You want this?
Now detecting contaminated gear. Landmark cleared.
How do you like that?
You.
Contaminated gear detected. Initiating rogue protocol. Now detecting contaminated gear.
Helo inbound.
Extraction called for. Contaminated gear detected.
I'm come.
Hostile patrol detected. Now detecting contaminated gear.
Let's hit the road.
on site.